Hey everyone, today I'm going to be teaching you how to get 5IV or 6IV shiny Pokemon in Ruby and Sapphire using the Contest All paintings. A few notes before we get started. First of all, this works in Emerald as well. I know a lot of you guys are going to ask that, but I have a separate video on it because Emerald has a feature called the Battle Record, which combines exceptionally well with this painting method. Second of all, this is a double frame perfect trick in Ruby and Sapphire, and it also has some NPC interference that cause it to be a little bit inconsistent. So this is a really difficult RNG manip that's going to take a lot of patience. The advantage RS has over Emerald though is that in these games you can RNG a specific trainer ID and secret ID combo to make any spread you want shiny. This isn't available in Emerald unless you're doing some glitches. So what are the Contest Hall paintings and how do they help you with RNG manips? These are the paintings in any of the contest halls as seen here, or the paintings in the upper floor of the Lily Cove Museum. The ones in the Lily Cove Museum need to be populated with a picture from a winning Master Rank contest, otherwise they're not going to work. Any of the other paintings work with whatever the default picture is, such as Liana's Breloom, as seen here. As for how they help with RNG manips, Xiao in the Glitch City Research Institute Discord discovered in November of 2021 that viewing one of these paintings calls the seed RNG function based on whatever the current state of V-blank counter 1 is. I know that sounded complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. V-blank counter is just a counter that keeps track of how many frames have passed since the last hard reset or soft reset, and then the value of V-blank counter 1 is used to reseed the current RNG as a new initial seed, and the game continues advancing the RNG as normal from there. What this means in practice is that instead of being stuck at the 5A0 initial seed of a dead battery copy of Ruby and Sapphire, always hitting the same frames over and over again, we can hit any seed we want after boot up by talking to the painting on a given frame. This really opens up Ruby and Sapphire, letting you hit way more IV and nature combinations than before. I think this is really only useful if you want specifically to get high IVs, or perhaps just different IVs than you would normally hit on the standard 5A0 seed. If you just want fast shinies and you don't care about IVs, or you don't care about them all being PID clones, then I don't really think this method is for you, and you can just go back to using the standard methods. So, with all of that preamble over, let's go over the requirements to do this manip both in and out of the game. In-game, I'd recommend having a Pokemon that can fly, and a Sweet Center if you're aiming for a wild encounter. In this video, I'll be going for a static encounter, which is basically any of the legendaries or stationary Pokemon, like the Gift Fossils or maybe the Kecleons, so I will not be needing a Sweet Center. You'll also need a way to capture these Pokemon easily. I recommend a Master Ball, and you're going to need some rare candies to calculate the IVs, just so you can figure out what frames you're hitting when you inevitably miss your target. Now, the way to get the Master Ball and rare candies, I would recommend cloning in Emerald and then just trading some extras over. Alternatively, there is a cloning glitch on Japanese Ruby and Sapphire if you have access to those games, so you can easily get multiple Master Balls and rare candies in Gen 3. Out of game, you're going to need Flow Timer by Stringflow, which is in the lower left corner of the screen here. You're going to need Pokefinder by Admiral Fish, which is in the upper right corner of the screen. You're going to need Gen 3 Seed Assistant by Papa Hefe, which is not currently shown on screen. And lastly, you're going to need to go to my website, blissey.net, click the Tools drop-down, and open up Blissey Paint, which is a tool to convert frames into Flow Timer's format. Links to all of these will be in the description. Now that we have all of the things that we need in order to successfully perform our RNG manip, we can move on to figuring out what spread we want, and what seed that spread is on. We will pick a spread using Pokefinder's Searcher tab in either the Gen 3 Static or Gen 3 Wild sections. You're using a Wild section if you're encountering the Pokemon in grass, or in a cave, or on the water's surface. For Static, it's basically everything else, such as legendary Pokemon, or the Kecleons, or the fossils. I'll be going for a legendary, so I'm clicking Static. Once you're in here, you're going to want to click the Searcher tab. Now, in the Searcher tab, there's a method drop-down box. What we're going to do is select method 1. And if you're doing a wild encounter, select method H1. Here, I'm going to put the IVs in that I want, and I want 31 in everything except attack. Then I'm going to select the nature that I would like. You can select multiple natures if you're looking for something more flexible. I'm going to pick Timid. Now, you'll notice I didn't specify whether or not I wanted a shiny. This is because it's very unlikely that any 5IV or even high IV spread you want to be shiny will be shiny on a random TID-SID combo you picked, unless you specifically RNG'd that spread to be shiny. So first, what we're going to do is figure out what spread we want, and then we will make it shiny by restarting our game and RNGing our trainer ID and secret ID to make said spread shiny. Once you've put all your parameters in, you can hit the search button, and you should get a bunch of results. All of these spreads are roughly equal in my mind, so what we have to do is figure out which of these is the best to go for. And in my opinion, since they're all acceptable, the goal should be to minimize waiting time, which is the least amount of time before you hit A on the painting and the least amount of time before you hit A on the Pokemon's frame. And so now we have to figure out what the seed is and what frame these Pokemon are on. The way we're going to figure out frames to hit for both the Pokemon and the initial seed is going to be first to copy the seed here in the seed column, and then we're going to go back to Pokefinder's main window, and we're going to take a look at this Gen 3 Tools dropdown. Click it, and then click Seed to Time within it. Now in Seed to Time, you're going to paste the seed that you copied. Then this 32-bit seed is going to get converted to a 16-bit initial seed when you click the Find button here. So this is the 16-bit initial seed, and then these advances here are the number of frames you're going to have to wait after you hit A on the painting. But how many frames do we have to wait before the painting? This is not, a number of frames. What we're going to have to do is convert this hexadecimal number into just a decimal number. So copy this and then open up a calculator on your computer. So here I'll be using the standard Windows calculator. Click this little button here and switch it to programmer mode. Then what we're going to do is click the hex tab up here and paste our hexadecimal number into it. And it'll show you what the decimal version of this hexadecimal number is. So this means in order to get the seed 55C4, we have to wait 21,956 frames, and then we hit A on the painting. Then after hitting A on the painting, we have to wait 174,038 frames before we actually can hit A on the Pokemon to encounter it. This is a really long time. And to show you how long it is, what we can do is go to my website, and we're going to do the calculation here to show you how long this is going to take. So first select your game and then select your console. I'm going to be playing on a DS. I'm using method 1. Intro and MS, we're going to leave that blank. For the seed advances, we're going to do the 21,956. Delay box, change that to 0. And then for the Pokemon encounters, it is going to be 174,038 advances. Then hit calculate. This is how many milliseconds we would have to wait. If you put this into a calculator, if you do a milliseconds to minutes calculator, this is 54 minutes. This is a really long time. I do not want to wait this long. So what you're going to have to do is go through every single one of the seeds that you found and take a look and see which one of them has the lowest possible waiting time. So after checking all of the seeds, I found that the final one down here is the best one. So if you Control-C that and then you check what it looks like in seed to time, the seed is 448B and the advances are 9919. If we put 448B into the calculator, we get 17,547 frames for the seed. And then if we get the advances here, it's 9919, which is pretty low. So in 17,547 seed advances and 9919 Pokemon advances, we can actually see that this is probably only about 8 minutes total. So this is actually a pretty short wait for such a high IV Pokemon. So in order to make this spread shiny on a save file, what we're going to need to do is copy the PID here, and then we're going to go to the TID SID section of Pokefinder, and we're going to click the Gen 3 RS tab. In here, you're going to check the PID box and paste your PID into there. Make sure dead battery is checked, and then increase the max advances here by adding another 0 and click search. You'll get a bunch of results here, and unfortunately for me, the earliest frame for this spread is 36,102, which is quite the wait. But after doing this RNG manip, which you can learn how to do in my Shiny Starter video, link in the description and link in the card up here, you now have a save file with a TID and secret ID that will make whatever spread you've wanted shiny, and you have the ability to make this 31 in all stat Pokemon shiny. So with your trainer ID and your secret ID settled, there's just one more thing to talk about, and that's pathing. You see, unlike most RNG manips in Ruby and Sapphire, and even Emerald, you're going to have to start in one location and run to another location. You can't just save where you want to do the manip, because the painting seeding does not save once you soft reset. And that means that wandering NPCs like this kid here can cause random erratic advancements. You see, every time this NPC decides he wants to move, it causes the RNG to advance a little bit. And it's not consistent. Every single PRNG state, he makes a decision as to whether or not he's going to move. Now, This means our goal has shifted to minimizing interactions with NPCs as we move along a set path. So the best starting point is typically the contest hall I'm in, which is the Fall Arbor contest hall. And usually what you want to do is talk to the painting and then leave the contest hall and pause as soon as possible. So far, you've only interacted with one NPC. Now you might think, okay, what I want to do is fly to the closest spot to my target Pokemon and then run to the Pokemon ASAP. But NPCs can actually be so detrimental that typically it's worth it to take a roundabout path and avoid NPCs, even if it means you're running from one place to another in like a really long path. And I'll try and show what I mean by this by showing the path that I took to Southern Island to Latias. You see, the fastest path to Southern Island would actually be to start in Lily Cove, because you can only take the boat to Southern Island from Lily Cove. So you'd think the best way would be to start in the Lily Cove contest hall, run out of the contest hall, and then just run to the ferry. Really direct and forward, and you can save really close to your target. But there's like 6 NPCs in the Lily Cove contest hall, and there's like a bunch of NPCs in Lily Cove City itself. But the path I took, which was developed by Chris Ellis during the live stream attempts at this Latias, only interacts with 4 NPCs. That's less NPCs than are in the contest hall in Lily Cove. So what I would do is I would talk to the painting and then mash B, and then I would walk down out of here, and this kid would move maybe once or twice. Then I would pause instantly. Then I'm going to fly to the battle tower. And as you can see, there's only been 1 NPC who could move so far. Now, the battle tower has 3 NPCs that can move, but if you run quickly and talk to this lady, they're usually only going to have 1 chance to move. Then I sail to Lily Cove, and I'm going to hold up and mash A to talk to the clerk immediately. So as you can see, talking to her after flying from Fall Arbor all the way to the battle tower, I only interacted with 4 NPCs, and they all really didn't have too many chances to move. In my experience, the kid in the Fall Arbor contest hall, he only had a chance to move twice. And the people in the battle tower, maybe they would all move once or twice, so it really wasn't that bad. But as you can see, this is a crazy roundabout way to get to Southern Island. So when you're trying to figure out a way to whatever Pokemon that you want, you're going to have to be as creative as this and as creative as Chris was. So hopefully right now you understand every single thing you need to do in order to successfully get a 5IV or 6IV shiny Pokemon, and you should be fully prepared at this point. Pathing is probably the most important and different part compared to all the other RNGs, but I hope my explanation was enough. With that said, we can get our first attempt underway, and I would not expect to hit your target the first time. Like I said, it's double frame perfect, there's NPC interference, so do not expect to hit it first time, and prepare for a pretty tedious challenge. Okay, so now we're ready to start the RNG, and we're going to just set up Flow Timer. We're going to set up my website, which is the Flow Timer calculator, and we're going to want to open up Gen 3 Seed Assistant. Now, a lot of people think that the Gen 3 Seed Assistant is something that is built into PokeFinder. It's not. This is a tool made by Papa Hefe. It is made from PokeFinder. It's like kind of a mush together of different PokeFinder features to gain some really useful abilities to search through seeds for retail RNG manipulation. So you're going to have to download that separately. It's in the description, but it does look a lot like PokeFinder, but it is not. Okay, so in order to set up Flow Timer, which is going to be what our timer is for when we press A and stuff like that, we're going to use my website. This is the Blissey Paint tool in the Tools drop-down menu. The first thing you have to do is select your game. I'm playing Ruby Sapphire, and then you have to select your console. This is either GBA or DS. DS is for both a DS and a DS Lite, and the 3DS Virtual Console injects. The GBA is for any GBA actual console. So GBA, GBA SP, a Game Boy Player, or a Game Boy Micro. I'm playing on a DS, so I will select that. The method is for whether you're encountering a static Pokemon or you're using Sweet Scent to encounter a wild Pokemon. Sweet Scent outdoors and indoors both depend on if you're in the grass or in a cave. I'm just going to be doing method 1, so I'll select that. So the intro timer is one of 3 timers we're going to have. And it's basically, the first timer is the intro timer, and that's a countdown for you to soft reset to. So this will count down 5 seconds, because 5,000 milliseconds is 5 seconds. It'll count down 5 seconds, and then you soft reset after the first set of timers. The second set of timing is going to be hitting A on the painting. the third timer is going to be hitting A to encounter your Pokemon. So seed advances is what we calculated earlier. So that is going to be the first one, which is, in my case, 17,547. Now, the delay box is something that it depends on you, and you don't actually necessarily need to know it. If you select Sweet Scent Indoors or Outdoors, this will auto-populate with the number. This is always going to be the same for those, so in that case, you don't have to worry about it if you're using a Sweet Center. Now, if you're using Method 1, the default is -20, which is not always the case, but a lot of gift Pokemon, like the fossils or the starters, or even the Kecleon Overworld encounter, a lot of them are 20, so that's the default, but you can change this to whatever you want. It's basically how many frames when you hit A on a Pokemon, after hitting A, does it take to actually start the encounter. So something like this Latias has a very long animation after you hit A, and it takes 404 frames. So you want to aim 404 frames before your target frame, because you have to wait out that animation. Now, if you don't know what your delay is, that's totally fine. You can just set this to 0 and then miss the Pokemon on the first attempt. So it actually doesn't matter that much. It's just a way to minimize calibration. You can find a list of all the delays in my Discord, though. So Latias is -404. So for Pokemon advances, that is the frame. So 9919 is what I'm aiming for. And then you can hit calculate, and you'll get two numbers. You'll get flat MS, and you'll get flow timer MS total. What we're going to want to do is copy flow timer MS total, and we're going to paste it into flow timer. And so now we have our number in flow timer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start flow timer, and then when it finishes counting down, I'm going to hit A on I'm going to soft reset my DS at the same time. Okay, so I've soft resetted, and now all I have to do is wait in front of the painting until my seed is basically done. So the second timer is going to occur at 299,000 milliseconds roughly, and this is just going to be a pretty long wait. So I'm just going to fast forward through this section. You basically do nothing here except wait. All right, so we're closing in on the remaining amount of time that we have. Just prepare to hit A, and just like, I usually just focus up, lower the volume maybe. And then hit A on the painting right when you can, and then just follow the path that you have planned. So I got no movement from that guy, which is crazy. And I fly to the battle tower. And then during the flight, I am buffering my movement. So I'm already holding B and down to start running. You can use the bike if you're very confident. I am not confident enough in my Mach Bite movement, so I don't use the Mach Bike, even though it might save time. Here, I'm already holding up and mashing A to get the dialogue started. Again, that sailor over in the lower left corner can move, but if you buffer the movements properly and you mash A fast enough, he won't move. And there's no pressure on Southern Island, so I just run up to here and I go and wait in front of the little, I don't even know what that thing is that you have to hit A onto, but this is the spot where you press A in order to encounter your Pokemon. So I'm just going to wait here for another 90 seconds, and I'll speed this up as well. All right, so time is almost up. I like to lower the volume because listening to the beeps can be difficult, and I use them to do all of my timing, so I always lower the volume. Now, don't expect it to be shiny or whatever. Don't expect to hit your target on your first try, okay? That is the key thing to take away. You're always going to have to do some calibration. It is not a huge deal. And after we catch it, we're going to use Papa Hefe's Seed Assistant in order to figure out what we've hit. So this was a Relaxed Nature Latias. So let's open up the Seed Assistant and see what we've got. So up here is the Pokemon we are going to be searching for. So we're going to type in Latias, and it was a Relaxed Nature. So then we're going to type in all of the stats. So it's level 50. Then we type in HP, attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and speed. Then we're going to hit calculate IV ranges, send to filters, and they'll all show up over here. Then in the method, we select method 1. If you are doing a wild Pokemon, you could select method H1 for Ruby and Sapphire. And you'll actually get some extra options over in this corner. And they will be like what route you're on and which game you're playing on, and then what Pokemon you landed on. And you could fill out all of those as well. I'm not going to because I am doing method 1. Then for your target advances, that is the 9919. Now for the plus and minus, I would like to do about 400 here. And then you're going to hit search. Now, the seeds here, you can just fully leave this blank, but it will take a moment to find the seed. So I'm going to hit search, and the program is going to like lag. Like I'm going to get like the spinning cursor or whatever. Your computer's going to ramp up in terms of processor, stuff like that. And it'll eventually find a result. So we can see that we've hit seed 4488 and advances 9921. So 4488, what we're going to have to do is convert that into a number. So let's do that now. So we can open up calculator, and all we have to do is type in hex 4488, and it'll tell us what seed we hit. So we can copy that and put that in the seed hit section. For the frame hit, I hit 9921, so I'll type that 9921 into the frame hit section. And then you can scroll down and hit calculate. It'll tell you how many it adjusted your seed by. So it adjusted it by 3. That means it increased this by 3 frames. Then my Pokemon was adjusted by -2 frames. And then it also tells you the corresponding milliseconds it changed. Then it'll give you a new flow timer total, and you can copy that and paste that into flow timer. Copy. You can paste that into flow timer, and now you have a new updated flow timer to adjust for your mispresses. And we can just try this again. All right, with everything adjusted, let's give it another go. And we just get in front of the painting and wait again. And that's pretty much all there is to it. You're just going to have to do this repeatedly over and over until you get it. So here we wait. All right, so we are nearing the painting press. So just gonna mute the music and get used to it. So as we hit A in the painting, just make sure to follow the path as the best of your ability. I also try and take the same exact movements every time. It can be difficult, and the movement only matters when you're in an area with NPCs in terms of like how, you know, what steps you're taking and where you're taking them. But I find that if you're able to replicate them every single time, you're going to be more consistent. All right, and now all there is left is to wait for the second timer to finish. So as we are coming down to the end of the timer, I'm going to lower the music and hope we get it. Now, in this video, I'll say this, I've only shown 2 attempts, 1 calibration attempt and me hitting it right now. Now, the thing about this is it took me many more than 2 attempts, but calibration is the same every time. When you miss your target, you just input what seed you hit, you input how many frames you missed, and you hit update. And you just do this as many times as it takes. As I talked about, this RNG is very difficult. It took me 4 days of attempts, and they were like 3 hours of attempts a day. So this took me a really, really long time. And to double check in case I hit some random shiny, here are the stats, and we can put them in the seed assistant, and you're going to see that this is totally the correct Latias. 155, 90, 110, 130, 150, 143. And a timid nature. Calculate. And you can see it's all 30s or 31s, and search. Now, it's not going to say that it's shiny in this tool unless you input your trainer ID and your secret ID here, but you don't have to do that. You know what your shiny frame is. You know, in the game, it'll be shiny, even though it doesn't say shiny. That's about it for this tutorial. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, you can leave them in the comments below, or you can join my Discord to get more help. I hope this was helpful for you. and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see many people trying Paint RNG. I want to give a big thank you to all of my YouTube channel members. Your guys' support means so much to me. It lets me make more videos, and it lets me stream more. Recently, we reached my 30 membership goal, so now I'm going to be freeing Swablu for my copy of Japanese Pokemon Colosseum, and I'm going to be going for all the gold prints in the Gen 4 Battlefront tier, so tune into my streams to watch those playthroughs. In addition, I want to give a big shout out to Shadow Blitz 56, who is the Blissed God membership tier. Thank you so much. If you guys are interested in becoming a channel member, please click the join button below. You can do it for as low as $1.99. You get access to early videos and a bunch of cool emotes and a special section in my Discord. All right, thank you, everybody. I'll see you later.